How you doing, everyone? Hope you enjoyed the first round of footy. We're going to jump into another video. I'm going to focus on some replacements for Lodge. So I've had a lot of questions around this. I just want to go from our most expensive options around that 538k with Tyrone Peachey here down to our cheapest. And we're going to cover the mids and the edge position because there's a lot of options here. We're looking at just over 10 guys that I'm going to go through in this one. And it'd be really helpful, guys, if you could please hit that like button. Obviously, it's free and it's the best way to support the channel here, and hit subscribe if you're new here. But we'll jump into these players with Tyrone Peachey. So had a really good start with 49 in his first game into 51 minutes, and I'd expect him to be getting around 51 minutes across the season. You can see in his games last year when he was off the interchange, he's getting around that 50 odd minutes and scored pretty well. So he's a really interesting option if you were tempted to, if you needed to bring in a centre, if you were not happy with some of your options in the centres, in James Roberts and Jack Bird, these types of guys, and you wanted to plug in a centre for the year and someone who's going to play 50 minutes in the middle and score pretty close, to a 45 to 50 average, then Peachey's going to be a man. His current break even is 34 too, so a little bit of cash to be made, as well as a really cool keeper option in your centres. So if we jump in a little bit deeper into his stats, 35 tackles, a couple tackle breaks, a missed tackle, one error, an offload, and 124 metres. So really strong. That's kind of what you'd be hoping and expecting, and possibly some more tackle breaks or attacking stats. And there's a chance that he might get an extra error or missed tackle or two. So I think that you can expect a lot more scores around that 45 to 50, and he should be a decent option for you. We'll go from our top price guys down to our lowest. So we'll start next with Capewell. At 517k was a fairly interesting option coming into the round one team, and my biggest qualm with him was how many minutes he was going to get, and we kind of guessed right. I expected Capewell, Martin, and Kickow sort of to share around 60 minutes or 50 minutes each, and looks like Capewell got the majority of those minutes at 66, with Martin in the 50s and Kickow a little bit lower than I would have thought in the mid 40s. So for Capewell to get a try in his 66 minutes and still only get 50, I think was a little bit of an issue. What we do have to think about though is Panthers had a lot of ball, which allowed him to get a few extra meters game, but a lot less tackles. So you're looking here at 18 when you've got two games at 80 minutes last year. At the start of the year with 49 and 43 tackles. So I would expect him to average around the 30 mark with the tackles. So there's a 12-point upside there with maybe two missed tackles in there. So maybe an 8-point upside on his tackles. But he is very much a threat in attack. So you could expect a try every 3 to 4 games maybe with Capewell. So you've got that upside there, and being having a break even of 30 and being priced in the in the mid to high 30s at the start of the season, he's someone that is a chance to average closer to 50, but again, you'd want to hope that those tackle numbers increases there. Having a 10% ownership is a little bit interesting. Well done to those that picked him up, and I think he's a fairly decent option. If he can get minutes in the 60 odds, then I think Capewell is going to be a pretty good option for anyone's side at this stage. And that's all I really want to say about him. Is just be slightly wary that if he doesn't score a try and Panthers have a lot of ball, then he could be getting scores in the 30s and annoying you a little bit. So don't think he's going to be an out-and-out keeper unless he gets the 80 minutes, and that's a little bit of an issue at this stage. All right, we'll go to Tupounuia at 513k. So he made a little bit of cash off that first game and got 62, and almost he got disallowed a second try as well. But one try there, 32 tackles, 5 tackle breaks, 73 meters. Really is a great recipe for scoring really well. And we spoke about in the preseason that our worry with him is that he has games of scoring tries and getting 37. He's got 40, 38, 30, 36, 46. These types of scores here, where at 513k, he has to score a try very regularly to make a lot of money. And yes, he scored in that first one. And my second thing is that they won't be playing Manly every week. They also have a not too bad of a start, but picking up someone like Tupounuia, similar to Capewell, that for them to score really, really well is a try is needed at a PPM of 0.66. So you're looking scores in the 45 to 50, but that includes some some lower minute games and a fair few tries over the years. So something interesting to think about with Tupounuia. A few people have asked me about him, and yes, I think he's going to get better and better every year. He's only played for properly for 2 and a bit years now, so there's going to be some more improvement in him, and he should have the spot locked down for the first 10 to 12 weeks. He'll make a bit of cash. I can see him getting up somewhere near 600k, averaging somewhere in the mid 40s to 40. So if you're picking him up this week, don't expect him to get 62. That's all I'm saying. But he's definitely an option. Someone like Bayley Sironen is interesting at 472k. My thing with him coming into the season was we're not sure how many minutes he's going to get. I had him in my team last year when he played for the Rabbitohs, and he had a few decent games, but in big minute efforts, he's got a 29, 35 and 69, 48 or 40. So when he's already priced, in the mid 30s there wasn't a lot of upside, and he's someone that played incredibly well. Look at his tackle count over over 2020. He had 2 games right at the end of the season, 38 and 39, and then first game this year gets 37. So will we expect those type of tackle numbers going forward? I'm not sure. If we're just going based off of his pedigree of last year, then he doesn't have those numbers in him. But Titans weren't very good in that game, so that means that his work rate was really high. It's not like the Titans had the ball the whole game. Warriors were in control of that one, and so that was really really good for those people that are interested in picking him up. He's not going to score a try every game again, so I'd expect somewhere in the 40s for Sironen. He did go off with a head knock, so that causes a few issues with him there. But what kind of minutes are we thinking he's going to get? Is he going to get somewhere in the 60s, or is 50 around his normal? And would he have gone off anyway during that time? So not sure at this stage, but that's where we're at with Sironen. We move to Mitch Dunn at 454k. Got 48 in the first game. That included 45 tackles. So he only has he has 1 to 2 games last year with just over 40 tackles. There's 3 there. But what we need to talk about with him is that Panthers had a lot of the ball and he had to do a lot of tackling. So that was really helpful for him and was the reason why he got so many fantasy points. He's never been someone that makes a lot of meters, so that them not having the ball was a good thing for his scoring. And if you picked him up at the start, I think that was a really good decision. But if you didn't, he's not someone that I'd be thinking of at this stage. I don't think he'll average 48. I'm expecting mid to high 30s on a regular basis for Dunn, especially if they have a little bit more ball. He's not someone that scores a lot of tries. There's 1 try there in his career, so attacking stats are not going to be something that he really needs. He's going to be needing those tackles, and you can expect a few games where he gets some big tackles, but then a bunch where he's going to get in the 30s and not make you very much money. So that's my thoughts on him. Probably an avoid at this stage. Ofahengaue, so really stepped it up. I spoke about in the last video that he was able to emulate some of the form back from 2019 where he had a really nice PPM, and when he got some big minutes, he scored well. Gets 43 minutes in the first one for 58, and it was pretty much the perfect game for him. He just had the 2 missed tackles, but everything else was awesome. So 26 tackles, 4 breaks, 2 offloads, 128 meters gained. Did everything possible, and I don't see him getting close to 50 again. That's my call. I had a question about should I trade Tino to Ofahengaue, and my call was that I think Tino will average 10 points a game better than him over the next 3. So went out there and threw out the bold prediction. 30 extra points over the next 3 weeks over Ofahengaue. And I just feel like Tino to Ofahengaue is a downgrade. Yes, if you started with him, great, you're going to make some cash. His break-even's 14, but I expect scores high 30s to 40 at a max, and that only puts him a little bit undervalued. So just have a think of that if you're tempted to bring him in coming into round 2, because I feel like you missed the boat a little bit with him, and that's going to be one of his highest scores of the year. Again, that's my opinion. That's my call. If you think differently, great. But if not, he definitely had a great game. One of his best of his strongest of his career against a decent Raiders pack. So great start for him. But we moved to Leeson Ah Mau, someone I was really high on in the preseason, and then getting small minutes in the trial off the bench kind of threw me off him. And with some plenty of other good options in Leniu, Alvaro, these types of guys back there, decided to go Woods over Ah Mau. So great decision. Anyway, Ah Mau comes in and has an absolute blinder. Couldn't play a more perfect game. Try, line break, 29 tackles, 3 tackle breaks, no misses, 72 meters gained. So we've always talked about him as having a high PPM at 0.88 over his career, and has had time where if he gets mid 40s to 50 minutes of prop, is going to make some cash for us. Being priced at about 27, we thought he was going to do well, but I didn't think that well. And a lot of people are going to trade him in expecting those scores. What I please advise is just to don't chase last week's scores. There's a bunch of people trying to get Reed Marnie in. He's never been a top line hooker in his young career, and I don't see that coming about anytime soon. He's had a couple of really high games across his career, and that was one of them in round one. So try not to get caught up in that. And similar with Ah Mau, I'm expecting somewhere in the mid 30s for him. Very similar to Leniu and Alvaro and stuff like that. And obviously at a break even of 5, he's got some money to make over the next bit. So how it works is that 5-round rolling average. So whilst the 61's in there, his average is going to be high and he'll make some good cash. And then that should fall away and his break even will be a bit higher. So if he can get mid 30s over the next little bit, he'll make 100 or so K, which is great. But again, I feel like you had to start with him. If you feel like 100K is enough and you need to start, someone to start for you, then bring him in. But he could go back to games like this, 30, 35 in that 40 odd minutes. But remember, they do have a lot of forwards on that bench, and we'll see how their team lines up this week. But that's my thoughts on him. Corey Jensen. So we're getting to a bunch of the cheaper guys now, and Jensen comes in and scores 42 in 42 minutes, which was really cool. Alrighty. Finally got it up there. 367. Average of 42. Break even of 16 now. 34 tackles, 99 meters, 1 tackle break, 2 missed tackles. So really cool. Some of his, definitely the highest amount of tackles he's ever made, but it's also some of the highest minutes he's played. So really good effort for him. As I said, he's someone I said to look really good in the trial game, and you'll expect some fairly decent scores from him. But being priced at 367 now after a big increase, only has a break even of 16, but you'd be wanting somewhere between a 0 and a 5 break even for him to make some good money. If he was about 300K or just under, I'd suggest him as being a really good option. But with other guys a bit cheaper like Leniu and Alvaro and stuff, I'd suggest staying away from him. But he's one to watch. If he ends up getting a starting spot or something like that, then that could be cool. Move to Fuimaono. All right, so really happy with his game. He got 59 minutes, and the last portion of that game was on the edge. So you'd expect him to score a little bit better in the middle, and you can see by his tackle numbers that increased a lot. Only had the 2 missed tackles, which was really, really good for him. He hasn't been someone to make anything more than 3 missed tackles over his career, so that's cool. He's moved to the middle. He's going to get a little bit more a few more tackles there. He's got the dual position at 360K. He's a fairly decent option. We'll have to wait for what the team lists say, but I think that if they're happy with how he played on the weekend, that he'll be able to keep that spot. You saw that he's someone with that utility value and could change quickly to an edge or something like that. But my thoughts on him are I think he could be a decent cover for those that, yes, are trading Lodge, but for also covering a Crichton in this week. So a fairly easy straight swap for Lodge, who's at 373K, and would be decent for anyone's side. So a good pickup there. Sauaso Sue, 350K. I just wanted to mention him. He did score 40, and Watson had to move to the 5/8 position, which allowed Sauaso to play a fair few more minutes. And I'd expect with Watson going, if Watson goes back to 13, they play someone like Crossland, then Sue won't get those type of minutes and won't score as well. So just want to touch on him. Move on to Spencer Leniu, who played amazing. First game, 41 points. Had the 17 tackles, 2 tackle breaks, 145 meters, which was great. Did everything that he needed to do, and he looks like he's improving every game he plays. So I'm expecting scores in the mid-30s for him, and should make some good cash, getting up into the 450K range. So this is your last week to get him, I think. Otherwise, you're gonna run out of time. So Leniu's a great option, similar to Alvaro. Price is slightly cheaper. In this day and age, I think Leniu is going to be that up and comer who's going to do a lot better and score better as well, just a little bit. But if Alvaro is getting close to 40 minutes, he has that career PPM of 1.02 and should score well and make some good cash as well. So he's someone I have in my team at this stage. to already have a game with 4 missed tackles. He only has a few of them in his career, one with 4, one with 6. But 35 tackles for 4 missed tackles, 61 meters with a turnover tackle in there. Did exactly what you needed to do for him to get a 40, and is a good option for anyone's side who needs to replace Lodge and save some cash. And our last one, Connor Watson, was great. Only thing to worry about him was his ankle and if he gets named and is going to play good minutes again. But good signs he got to play the rest of the game out. We haven't heard anything since then, so maybe it was just a little bit of a sprain and he's okay from there. But I was a little bit worried about his Achilles as they take that foot up. But a break even of 5, dual position, 54 and 53 minutes. Did a bit of everything. Got the 5 tackle breaks, 17 tackles, 100 meters, even had a kick. Got the try assist, so did a bit of everything. And if he goes back to the middle, I think he should score pretty well and should be in most sides. But there you go, guys. That's the lowdown on some of the trades for Lodge. I hope that really helps, guys. And there's obviously a few in there that have scored really well round 1, but I don't expect to do well for the majority of the year. Just be wary of those trades, guys. Try not to chase last week's points and go with some guys that are a little bit cheaper that have the potential to make some good cash and score you close to a 40 at that same time. So a Leniu or Watson and Alvaro, these type of players will be good for your team. But that's all, guys. Please hit like and subscribe, and if you're enjoying this, and we'll see you in the next one. Have fun, guys.